Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another video. This is another paid request for Jonathan. And Jonathan, I want to say thank you for being so generous for the requests. I really, truly do appreciate it, man, when you see this. Thank you so much. But for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, it could be review or re-review, a commentary, reaction, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for an episode of The Incredible Hulk called The Wax Museum, which was in season 4 and I believe episode 10. Now, I did not grow up with the Incredible Hulk TV show. I did grow up a bit with some of the TV movies that they did, where mainly the two I think of is the one with Thor and the one with Daredevil. I didn't watch the one called The Death of the Incredible Hulk, but the other two I did grow up with a bit. I forget how many there were, because I know there's the Trial of the Incredible Hulk. But like I said, the one with Daredevil and the one with Thor definitely comes to mind. But I didn't watch much of the TV show itself, but I know of it, of course. Bill Bixby as Dr. David Banner, not Bruce Banner, David Banner in the show. And then Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. Great opening with the music and, Mr. BD, don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me you wouldn't like me if I'm angry. And the narration, I believe, is Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch in the original Addams Family TV show. I believe it's Ted Cassidy. And then, from what I understand, looking up, he originally did the growls and grunts of the Hulk, but then he passed away around 1979. And then the guy who took over for the grunts is Charles Napier, Murdoch from Rambo for Split Part 2. And he's been a lot of other stuff too. Murdoch, I'm coming to get you. That guy, Murdoch. I'm like, oh, Charles Napier? So, in a way, Charles Napier was the Hulk. At least the growls and grunts of the Hulk. Learn something new every day. Bill Bixby does a great job showcasing his struggle of wanting to find this cure as Dr. David Banner. He has a nice, approachable appeal that you see why each week people trust him and like him and allow him to get these jobs. And definitely a very good actor. And for a TV show in the 70s, it made sense to have Lou Ferrigno. You have this big, muscular guy, Lou Ferrigno, who was the guy who competed against Arnold Schwarzenegger in Pumping Iron. He was in, the Hercules movies in the 80s. 2 of them. Throwing bears into space. It made sense for that. Now, granted, the TV show, because of the budget, there's only a select number of times where the Hulk will turn. Usually it's maybe twice or 3 times, give or take. And because it's a TV show, they couldn't do a whole lot. Although, I mean, you look at other TV shows like the A-Team and other stuff usually has some pretty decent bits of action. Before I go on, the gist of the plot of this episode is David is hired to help clean up this museum for this opening. And he's working for this guy and his niece. The niece of this guy is a lady who was in a mental hospital, and there was a fire that her dad died in, and she blames herself for it, and she's taking these pills, and she keeps seeing the wax figures move. She keeps seeing the wax figures come alive. And like she has guilt over the fire and her dead dad. And her just trying to deal with this and Dr. David Banner trying to help and ease her into getting along with her life. Now, to cut the long story short, I wasn't a fan of this episode. I don't know if I would be a fan of the show, The Incredible Hulk, because I'm watching this and I'm going, oh, well, maybe some kind of magic, maybe some kind of deal, maybe some kind of villain, supervillain, where he's making these wax figures come alive, or maybe it's like a take on Tourist Trap, that movie, horror movie. That could be interesting. The Hulk having to fight all these wax figures, and it's people, but they have this makeup on, and Hulk, he's ripping the mannequin arms off and smash them into pieces, and I expected too much out of this. Because really, what you come to find out is, spoiler, no, the lady's just been given these pills that have 10% LSD by her uncle, because the uncle caused the fire that killed her dad, and he wants to keep her quiet, and by making her seem to go crazy and hallucinate that and filled with paranoia, he'll put the blame on the niece, and whether to get the museum open or not, or make her go crazy to go right back to the institution or not. Well, which I see at times his motive was a bit wonky, the uncle, because I'm sitting there going, she seems almost ready to admit she needs to go back to the institution, and you could have just said, yeah, okay, and get her out of your way for whatever you're planning to do. And like, do you want the museum to open? Do you not want the museum to open? Do you want to sell the museum and get some money out of it? So I wasn't 100% on the motive of the uncle. And the fact that these wax museum things aren't real, it's just hallucinations. It just, for a show called Incredible Hulk, just doesn't give him much to do. He appears 2 times. One time, she is turned something, ready to burn, almost gets burned. Dr. David Banner's like, no, you don't burn yourself. Turn the stain. It comes loose, it burns him, he turns. So he breaks some equipment, breaks through the wall, goes away, fucks up an ATM, finds his random ATM with his random woman who runs off, and the ATM is automated, and so Hulk breaks it and it shoots a bit of cash to him. Pretty much it. And then Dr. David Banner looks into these pills, finds out, which I don't know where he goes to, where he just go to a local person and says, yeah, I want to know what these pills are. Are they from the street? Yeah. Okay, I'll see what these pills are. Is that something that happened a lot in the 70s and 80s that I didn't know about? That there's these, I don't even know what kind of place it was. It just literally, people would just go in, no questions asked, and you could just be given pills or know what kind of drugs these are. Again, what kind of place was that, and did they have a lot of that in this time period? I just didn't know about it. Mr. McD, this investigator, reporter, has been following the Hulk and trying to find this evidence. Is looking into this stuff. One thing leads to another. There's a fire. Mr. McD and the girl get knocked out by the uncle who wants to kill them. Had knocked out Dr. David Banner. He hulks out. He rips open the door, carries the girl and Mr. McD, the reporter, out. And then it's like, okay, what's the Hulk? What is his obstacle? A fat old man. This fat old guy who Hulk grabs him. I'm like, oh no, don't, you don't throw him right into the retirement home. And the guy like tries to throw a mace, and Hulk grabs and crushes it a bit. So he throws the old fat guy, and then that's pretty much it. The girl tossed to Mr. McD. She's like, no, I didn't see a Hulk. It was just hallucinations. And like she's trying to convince him that what he saw was hallucinations. And then Dr. David Banner's on the road again. Which again, I love that music. So I don't know, maybe this is just not an episode to. Maybe this isn't one of the better episodes. Yeah, the episode itself I thought was very uneventful and very boring. It's great to see Bill Bixby, who is he was a very capable actor, to definitely help you feel sorry for the character. It's still nice to see the Hulk being treated with respect, unlike today, where the Hulk is given breakfast tacos and selfies and having goofy wrestling matches with She-Hulk. So I would still take this over that Hulk easily. And maybe that's why people respect the show, which I do understand, is that no matter what, it takes the Hulk serious, with respect, and there you go. It's just maybe because the show could not have a lot of super villains, couldn't have a lot of villains and stories from the comic books. So you look back on it, it's kind of, a little bit of this, kind of feeling that I have with it. And again, I didn't grow up with the show, so there's not any nostalgia with it. Again, unless you count the Thor and Daredevil movies that were done. Which I forget what the hell they were called. I can't remember if they were movies or they were episodes. See, it's been so long, I can't remember much detail with it. But overall, kind of a middling episode. Not really much else to say and talk about. Like I said, it's kind of a shame that it was just hallucinations and not some other dire, sinister thing for the Hulk to fight or battle. It's like the Hulk didn't really have much to do when the highlight is him fucking up an ATM machine. But as it is, it's still less disrespectful than what Disney's doing with the Hulk nowadays. And it's still better than any episode of She-Hulk. Any episode. Take this any day Toys on Tuesday of any of that shit-tastic, buff fucking pain in the ass show called She-Hulk. So, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.